So we initially just wanted to do cigars, a pivot, if you would.
It was a fill the gap.
Fill the gap, yeah.
Yeah.
The location of being in North Kansas City was really just because we lived up in North Kansas City, and also because North Kansas City allows alcohol and tobacco in the same location.
I think we were just looking towards the next step in our lives. Like William was a pastor for a long time, and then COVID happened, and then we basically closed the doors to the church through that. And then afterwards, I mean, we were just, part of it is we were always busy doing things. And then once we closed the doors to the church, we were like, well, now we got all this time on our hands kind of that we are not used to. So what do we do next? Just took his hobby at the time and incorporated it with a business that we'd done before, which was a coffee shop. We went to a cigar lounge in Tennessee, and they kind of had that concept. We were like, yeah, it works. They had a full bar, they had cigars, and then they were like, hey, we have an espresso machine in the back, because we talked about if they had coffee here, and they were like, we do.
They had a little tiny one. It wasn't a real big one. It was.
Yeah, so it wasn't something that they were pushing, but we were like, well, why aren't you pushing the coffee? So yeah, so I think that's the trip that we went on that solidified.
That kind of solidified, yeah.
Yeah, this is what we're gonna do. Yeah.
I was thinking about it in the back of my mind before I actually verbalized it, right? So it's something that I wanted to do, but whenever we put rubber to road to actually do it, it was really out of frustration, right? So I went to, my retirement idea was to maybe just do some accounting on the side. So I went and I thought, well, I'll go get a CPA. I'm an accountant. And I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and set for the CPA exam, because I hadn't took a lot of accounting. I've got an accounting degree, but I hadn't taken accounting for a long time, right? So I thought, well, I'll go back and finish up with some more accounting, and I'll set for the exam. I just got the sense that it wasn't going to be enough money, and then I was still going to be kind of in someone else's hands. The lady I worked for fired me.
Oh, no. Within the first
two, like, well, it was maybe a week.
You got fired on your birthday.
Got fired on my birthday, and I was like,
oh, not on your birthday. Well, you call and thank her. That, right?
Right. And so once that happened, I thought, you know what? I'll just start a business. That's really what got in my mind. I'm gonna have to do something on my own. And I can't remember like what started us to actually having the conversation, but I remember driving home one day after a location that I really wanted didn't happen, and just driving to, I wanted to be right here by F350, and I ended up driving down this street, Armour, pulling in the parking lot and thinking, you know what? I'm just going to go look at this place right here. So once I looked inside of it, I think I signed the lease the next day. I think I was so frustrated.
It was, part of it though was that happened. But then when he started talking about cigars, and you got to understand, I hated cigars. Hated it. And part of it too was like the few times that he did invite me to go with him when he was going to smoke cigars, is I just felt it was anti-woman. I felt like my gender wasn't included in that. So it was almost like a guys club that, you know. So I just didn't like that part of it. Like I just didn't feel like it was for women as well, right? 30 minutes, like my sinus was to start hurting. I'd get a headache. I gotta go outside, just because they weren't now knowing is they weren't ventilated very well. And when he started talking about it, I was like, oh no, that's not something I'm on board with. But then when we went to the place in Tennessee, we were just walking down the street, and he was like, hey, there's a cigar shop right here. Do you mind if we stay? And I was like, oh, 30 minutes tops. We can go in, but that's it, 30 minutes. And he's like, okay, well, let's go in. But when we went in, it was so airy. It was ventilated. It didn't smell like smoke, and it just definitely didn't There wasn't smoke in the air, and I was like, okay, well, this is kind of nice. There was ladies in there, and there was guys in there. There was a full bar in the back, and usually cigar
It
lounges
was
would only
real
have
design,
whiskey,
nice.
like
Yeah.
just straight pours. Again, I'd never been in a cigar lounge like that with that type of culture mentality where we're together instead of this is just a man cave. So it was completely different. So when the first night when we went back to the hotel, that's what started the conversation. Like, well, what did you like about it? Like, because like I said, I'd want to leave within 30 minutes, but here we stayed all night. And so he's like, well, what did you like about it? What would you take with you? Like,
we're in Nashville.
Like for sure. That was God ordained.
Yeah. You always make more money when you do something on your own. It's harder, but the potential. You're only going to make as much money as somebody decides to give you when you work for someone. Well, part of when I say the sky's the limit, and how, because when you own your own business, in your mind, you're constantly thinking of ways to enhance your business. And obviously you're thinking of, because I'm a CPA, I'm thinking of margins. I'm thinking of how much will it cost me to do this? How much money can I produce off of this move?
What's the return on the investment?
What's the return on the investment? The ROI, what can I do? And so I'm constantly thinking about ways to make this better and easier. All of that. Well, you can't do that when you work for someone. Went into ministry, I think, because part of going into ministry is something that you could kind of design and move about kind of the way you wanted to do it, based on what the Holy Spirit is doing, obviously. But yeah, so we've always kind of had an entrepreneurial mindset, I think, being in ministry for so long. But once we got out of ministry, out of heading up ministry, so to speak, then we started to live like a normal life, like what other people do, 8 to 5, like, and that wasn't enough, certainly for me. And so opening a business would have happened. I just didn't know it was going to be this. In fact, when I was working, I actually took a job at a cigar shop. So I just and for me, that was my accounting. Like, I need to look at their margins. I need to, what are they selling this for?
That was his research.
That was my research. And I